Hello and welcome to this week's HSMAI live show. It's the 15th of June 2021, 14 hours Central European summertime. And I would love to talk today with a nice panel around about the changing distribution landscape and how can AI help us, the hotels, in boosting revenue on their own booking channels in reference to the power of OTA. And I'm happy to have a nice panel around, as mentioned. Will be joined by André Vedovelli. He is the CEO of the Grand Elysee Hotel in Hamburg. André, thank you very much for being with us today. Also with us, Sandro Christofori from SHR Global. Sandro, nice to have you around. Vineeth Purushothaman. I need to train this a bit more, Vineeth, my colleague from Wyndham Hotel and Resort. Thank you for being around. And last but not least, Pablo Delgado joining us today from Miami on his way back to Europe today. Thanks for all of you for being around. On this live show, I need to firstly make sure that all of you are aware of the antitrust statement of HSMAI, which I would like to show you right here and give you a moment to read through the lines. I think it's all fine. You're probably all aware of the antitrust statement. Just a very short note, we will host another live show next week, as we do every week, every Tuesday from 2 to 3 p.m. Central European Summer Time, 1 to 2 p.m. UK time. We didn't have a topic for next week yet, so I would love to encourage you to sign up and see what we're coming up next week. Today, we will like to talk about AI and what AI is bringing in the changing distribution landscape. And I would pass over to you right in the order I just mentioned with a short introduction from yourself. André, may I ask you to introduce yourself, please? Just to let you know, you're still on mute.
Sorry, I hope it doesn't work now.
It's perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Sorry for that. Sascha, thank you very much for having me on this panel today. My name is André Vedovelli. I'm 41 years old, and I'm the CEO of the Grand Elysee Hotel in Hamburg, which is the largest privately owned 5-star hotel in Germany. We have 510 rooms, 30 banqueting facilities, and 3 a la carte restaurants and 2 bars, plus 1 newly opened rooftop bar. And Hamburg is a vibrant city, and we are very happy to be back and to be open again, to welcome travelers from all over the world. And I'm looking forward to this talk. Thank you very much once again, and I'm happy to join today.
Thank you, André. I can't wait to come around to Hamburg again. Haven't been with you for a long time, and really looking forward to be with you in the next couple of weeks. Next on my panel is Sandro Christofori. Sandro, you're joining us from Barcelona. I learned it correctly, not Madrid. May I ask you to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, thank you very much, Sascha, for the invite. My name is Sandro. I'm 33 years old, Director of Business Development for the DACH and MENA region for SHR, Sceptre Hospitality Resources. And we are pure hospitality or hotel technology company, now working in this field for more than 25 years. And we specialize in innovative solutions for distribution, marketing, and revenue management. Very happy to be here. Thanks again for the invite. I'm looking forward to discuss these very interesting topics, especially AI and distribution and the direction it will go.
Thank you very much, Sandro. Vineeth, my colleague sitting in the London area, working for Wyndham Hotel and Resorts, may I ask you to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Sascha. Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Very briefly, I joined Wyndham Hotels. As you probably know, Wyndham is one of the larger hotel chains with almost 9,000 hotels worldwide. And I work for the EMEA region. I joined initially to drive distribution projects in the region. Strong background and also keen interest in using technology to maximize commercial impact, and then that's what's driven me to distribution and commercial planning. And I've had different roles in the past, working for other global chains as well, like the Meridian and Starwood. And I've also had dabbled with some startups in the past. At the moment, I head the commercial planning and distribution function with Wyndham Hotels, and love the fast-paced world that we live in distribution, apart from the COVID curveballs, of course. Thanks, Sascha.
Thank you very much, Vineeth. And last but not least on our panel today, Pablo, happy to have you on board. And may I ask you to have a few words to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Well, yeah, I'm Pablo Delgado. I'm the CEO of a company called Mirai. And we are a company that started 25 years ago working with hotels to help them sell more directly in their direct channel, right? And so what we provide is basically three parts. First is technology, second is online marketing services, what we call visibility, so driving qualified traffic to the website, and consultancy and distribution, so helping them understand that technology is not enough, and what makes a difference is using correctly that technology and to have a strategic approach to distribution. This is what we mostly do.
Thank you very much. When I see and hear all of you, I do see it's a very high-end panel. Having two CEOs on the panel, regional director for distribution, DACH development director, myself working with Wyndham and Hotels, Wyndham Hotel and Resorts as a regional director for Central Europe. Thank you all very much for taking the time. It's really valuable to have you on the call. When we are talking about artificial intelligence and the changing distribution landscape, I would like to start with a look back at the last 18 months and to do this from a few different angles before diving into the future and what AI can bring. COVID brought a lot of attention to booking channels as we do see it from a Wyndham perspective, but I do think Pablo and Sandro probably can underline from our perspective, booking channels changed in their behavior. And we did see at the beginning of the pandemic that OTA was decreasing dramatically, while the direct contact to the hotels, either was it on telephone, was it email, or was it the own hotel website, were skyrocketing a lot. And my question right now, is this from your perspective a trend to last, or was it just a short hype we have seen during this pandemic? Whoever wants to take the lead, please.
Who wants to start? Pablo, you want to take the lead?
Well, yeah, because this is something we are very aware, and we work with thousands of hotels, and all of them are seeing the direct channel booming, growing the fastest, and that means that the share of the direct channel, and by direct I mean phone and website and even walk-ins, that some hotels are starting to have walk-ins again, that the total part of the direct is growing. Why is that? There are many reasons for that, right? The first main reason is that the segmentation has completely changed. So the leisure segment is the only one that is working, and leisure has always been quite lean or biased to online channels, not the traditional or offline channels. And in the online world, the direct is doing better than the OTAs, because customers, what they want is the source of the information. So they want to know if the hotel is closed or is open, what facilities are open, what are the COVID policies in place. So that is driving a lot of traffic to the direct channel. So for those hotels that are getting those visits, their websites, and they have the right approach to the direct channel, which is having a proper value proposition for booking direct, having like some perks or some special price for the direct bookings, those clients are actually finally booking in the website of the hotel, something that didn't happen before. And many hotels haven't changed anything, and they are seeing the direct channel growing. So the question is this change to stay? And I would say that part of it yes, and part of it no. So the question is, I think many hotels have much more control on impacting that, what part stays and what part goes back to normal, that they think. So I hate when hotels say, oh, when everything goes back to normal, OTAs will get their share and I cannot do anything. And I don't agree at all, right? So I think hotels can do many things to be in touch with that customer from now on, and don't let him go back to the OTA world. But they have to believe that. They have to know that they can do it, and to believe, and of course make a roadmap and change many things that they were doing wrong in the past. But the first thing is accept that they can do things. And I think this is where we are here, right? To tell them that they can do it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pablo. André, from your perspective, hotelier's perspective, you've been open throughout the pandemic for a long time, and I know you were engaging with your guests directly. Is this a trend you can see as well? And is it something you would say it is there to last and you really feel it?
I would say yes, because I mean, with the Grand Elysee in Hamburg, it's in general a little bit different. You can book us through OTAs, but very selected ones. We have had in 2019 a direct booking rate of 80%. So we come from this part that we say we want to serve our guests because we know better. In the hotel, everybody is a sales manager. Everybody is engaging with guests, and we can deliver the service that an OTA will never ever be able to provide you with. So having 80+% direct bookings in 2019, we saw that in 2020 and even now, the numbers were increasing because people want to engage, people want to ask a lot of questions because they are still quite, insecure in terms of the pandemic and travel and so on and so forth. And they like to have the personal contact. And this is what we have done throughout the pandemic. As you correctly said, we were open. And this was the most important thing, to keep our guests updated. What is happening in the hotel? What are we doing? What are you allowed to do? How we can assist you? And this is something an OTA will never be able to provide. So yes, we have to engage with our guests, and the guests that are coming through an OTA, this is something that we have done. We are, so to say, jumping on them. We are very happy that they are coming and joining us. However, the next time they have to book direct with us. And this is that our team at front desk and reservations are ensuring, and it's working out quite well.
Yeah, thank you. Vineeth, I'm just taking notes for us to make sure that we Wyndham and Hotels and Resorts will be able to copy what André just mentioned. I think we didn't have the same approach, and I would like you to elaborate a bit what Wyndham has to do differently to what André was able to do on a personal load in his hotel.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, it's always great to hear direct stories, and an 80% booking rate is staggering. I mean, it's brilliant. And yeah, I guess at Wyndham, our dynamics are a little bit different. We have the franchisee model with close to 500 hotels in our region, and spread out from anywhere in Russia to Copenhagen. In Denmark, so the dynamics are very different. The knowledge levels are very different at the hotel. So we've had to sort of fight through that, if you want to say say it that way. But what I think that there is real opportunity, that's clear. And I think what Pablo just called out, some of that hotel direct bookings that are coming. We've seen that. We've seen a significant change in the way bookings are coming in. And some of that also came out of that backlash as well from third-party bookings, because when COVID came along, bookings had to be cancelled, at scale, and a lot of them just found it incredibly difficult, having to go through a third party to really deal with that. So they realized in a way that dealing with a hotel is so much better. So all of that has added to it. But in terms of how we are looking at improving, or have looked at improving in the last 18 months or so, is really to have a bit more sustainable digital presence. And that sort of speaks probably more to sort of Pablo's area, is really how can we improve what we're doing, whether it's content, whether it's visibility, whether it's reviews, whether it's that online value proposition, and even value additions, if you want to, the value adds. I mean, early check-in is a nice thing to have, but early check-in on availability is not really a value add. So, is there something more we can do? So educating our hotel teams to work on that has been one of the approaches we've taken, and we've seen some improvements on that front.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Vineeth. And Sandro, I would love to take it on with you, and changing the question a bit, given the fact that OTA will remain powerful. I think we all agree on that. And even though we do see this positive trend, and I'm more than happy to see it more like a trend than a hype, that the direct connection to hotel is established and is growing over the time right now. But giving the fact that OTA will remain powerful and invest in their systems permanently to evolve themselves, what should be the main focus for hotels to go for in terms of distribution? What are your suggestions? Should they rely on OTA? Should they rely direct? Should they go for their own websites? What are your findings?
I mean, it's very different. Yeah, we have heard now from André this super nice high direct booking rate, but it's a beautiful luxury property. Yeah, so it really depends what product you're offering, what's your location. Are you part of a big group or chain, or are you an individual property? That's definitely something. And then in the end, for me, it always starts with where's the journey starting? Yeah, so where's the search of all this starting? So we are all hoteliers, so we see it through our hotelier eyes, glasses, and sometimes probably already impossible to see it through the eyes of somebody who has no relationship with this industry. I think my sister, for example, I had a chat with her yesterday evening just to get her input also. She just recently flew to Menorca from Germany, and they're only booking everything on the phone. So mobile first is definitely one of the hot topics, because she loves booking, she loves Airbnb. Why? Because it's easy to search, it's easy to navigate. She sees pictures, she sees a list of different properties, she sees locations, she has reviews. Yeah. So as a hotelier, the best you can do is to have a nice web page, good looking, easy to navigate on a mobile phone, reviews, pictures, videos to give a good impression, information. And then, of course, from there directly goes into the topic what Pablo is doing and what we are doing. The booking engine has to be seamless integrated, that the booking experience is similar to what an OTA can provide. And there's another important topics, for example, also the payments. Yeah, you want to pay with your favorite payment method in an easy way. If you nowadays go on one of the big OTAs, you can pay however you like with Apple Pay, with your favorite credit card. It's already there. It's just easy, yeah, and convenient. And I think that's the main topic we need to focus on.
Those are some interesting topics you just raised. Mobile first, I think something we all have in mind, and we do see with ourselves as well. Easy to book, absolutely agree. So if I have to have 10 clicks or more to do my booking and fill all the information I need to, it's just a mess. And I'm just seeing your faces. I think I see the agreement in your faces right now. Payment methods is a thing. André, I just want to elaborate with you a little bit on, and I know that the Booking was quite keen to integrate with the virtual credit card, the payment with PayPal, for example. And is it something you would do at your hotel as well? Or is it something you're not able to so far?
Frankly speaking, in terms of PayPal, we have not thought about it yet. However, you can pay in our hotel, with all kinds of methods. We have Apple Pay, we have Google Pay, we accept all credit cards, cash, of course. If you have a third-party payment, we will send you a pay link that you can click on, where you agree then to the amount that you have to pay, and then you have to have a PIN code and so on and so forth, for us also to have it secured. This is something that we do. I also believe that it is something, regarding the targeted groups in your hotel. Here, our average age of our guests is a little bit below 60, let's say between 55 and 60. Some of them are very keen and into the new digital methods of payment, or like online check-in, or to have to have your key on your mobile phone, which we also provide. And some are very traditional. I think it's a similar question when you check in for a flight, like Pablo is catching a flight later on. Are you printing your ticket, or do you put it in your wallet on your phone? So I have it on my phone. My wife is always printing it. So but this is definitely something that we will in the future look into. And just one more thing, because the Grand Elysee is part of a big group that is initially started the business with steakhouses, and we are also now coming up with our own method of payment, that when you have our app, then you can pay through the app. It's not Apple Pay, it's called Block Pay, and this is at the development stage.
That sounds very interesting. I will come back to something with Block later on in our round here. Pablo, I just wanted to ask you and catch your brain on a thing. We do see some aggregation of businesses around, and it is something coming out of a pandemic situation. You know, some of the businesses are struggling with their own liquidity. It was for all of our hotels, I think, within the last 18 months, one of the key topics to have liquidity at hand. But there is something happening within the OTAs as well, isn't it? So will you, or do we believe that there will be an aggregation of OTA, a selling back and forth of parts of the businesses to aggregate to a bigger OTA? Is it something you do see right now?
Well, I think in crisis times, there is always some consolidation in all the industries, right? And it is happening in the hotel industry at first place. So I don't know in other countries, but in Europe or in Spain, there's the country I know the most. In 8 out of 10 hotels that are opening they belong to a brand. So there is no much room for independent hotels, and I think that happens for the distribution channels. So being a small OTA is going to be very, very challenging in the future, unless you find the perfect niche that you are the king, and you have, I would say, low possibilities of surviving in the long term. So I think there will be an even stronger consolidation in the two big OTAs that are Expedia Group and the Priceline Group, or the Booking Holding Group. And in tour operation, there's going to be even much faster move. So many mid-size or long-tail tour operators are probably going bust. They will not survive. Same with wholesalers, and same with travel agencies, physical travel agencies, which is a drama, to be honest. But it's the only way to survive, which is gaining scale, economies of scale, and access to cash flow, right? Access to banks, to liquidity. You touched the point. Liquidity is doing very, very low in the last 18 months. And for a tour operator to start to resume operations, they need capex, right? They need capital investment to start. So they need to put the cash up front. And the same with OTAs, but for an OTA it's much easier because it's a technology business. It's just paying servers, right? Paying Amazon mostly, right? But for a tour operator, it's going to be very, very challenging. So I think there is an unstoppable wave of consolidation in every layer of the travel ecosystem: hotels, OTAs, all distributors, even companies such as Mirai, right? So I've seen many companies struggling to survive. I mean, we've been without income for 18 months or 12 months. So it's going to be impossible. So to me, it's very difficult to see many hotels they're still open. So they haven't closed and give the keys to the bank. To me, that is because the hotel industry has super healthy margins. So that's not typical. In many other industries, the margins are much lower. But in the hotel industry, it does make a lot of money. That's a reality. And these huge margins help them survive this half a year and a half. But other industries, such as OTAs, tour operators, they have much lower margins. So many of them will die.
That's the word. Many of them will die. I will take this and bear it in mind.
I think just one thing, that many of them haven't died yet because they have a lot of money lent by the bank. But now when the bank and the states, right, that the state-backed loans, that the banks will ask for the money back, then we will have the problem. And that hasn't happened yet. So we'll see the bad part of the crisis in the next months. That's my impression.
Absolutely agree. Thank you very much for this insight. And we just got a comment on the idea to make bookings fast is better without payment methods. Tarek believes. Vineeth, we are working on payment methods. We're working on the distribution. We're working on the app, and this is exactly your point. Would you say the faster the booking, the easier it is without payment, or should we incorporate payment to secure the booking for the hotel year round?
I think it's a fairly divisive point because I think it comes with pros and cons. So of course you want the booking process to be as seamless as possible, and then I would agree that the quicker it is, and fewer clicks. We said that earlier. However, there might be longer term business that you want to also guarantee. I mean, so it really depends on the type of business that you're looking for. That would go with that type of no payment or minimal payment or nothing. So that would depend on the segment and the booker, I would say.
Yeah, thank you. I would love to turn a bit around, talking about AI a bit more, as I put it as a topic for today. And when I was raising the topic, I had to digest myself a bit of what am I talking about? What is it indeed? And I just found a description which is quite nice. I would love to share with you. Artificial intelligence is intelligence demonstrated by machines. Unlike the natural intelligence displayed by humans and animals, which involves consciousness, emotionality. AI is a system's ability to correctly interpret external data, to learn from such data, and to use those learnings to achieve specific goals and tasks through flexible adoption. Oh, okay, that's a long sentence at all, but coming to the point, and I do see AI must be all around us, isn't it? So when I'm sitting in front of my Amazon account or my Netflix account, it comes up with some suggestions, what I have seen before, what should be the next I should see. On Amazon, I will have the next advertising up there coming, what I've bought in the past time, what I was looking for. Luckily today, I will still be pushed with those advertisings and having this thing bought already. So it's not really intelligent. It's only looking for a cluster, in my opinion. So what I have done in the past is looking out for what could be a future action I would take. But it doesn't still not know that I already purchased a thing. I don't know what. So it's still advertising to me. And how would you see, Sandro, from a provider's perspective in revenue management systems? How can AI help to see and oversee this pattern of the past that we don't have at this time?
Okay, so one thing is connected to revenue management systems, one in general, yeah. So I think that mainly we have seen now in the last years, mainly in gaming industry and research, mathematical algorithms, yeah. So working with big amounts of data, which would cover also the revenue management topic. I think that's where we mainly have seen it. We all know, the story about artificial intelligence winning in chess or in Go the first time against the best player. That's already many years back. Yeah. In the meanwhile, we had now cover songs of Beatles music produced by AI. We had pictures painted looking like a Picasso picture printed by AI. What is new, what something nice and interesting is NLP. This is the natural language processing. So there's now new tools where you can describe a picture and then the AI will give you the picture to it where there was no picture existing before. So we are entering into new, very interesting parts. Nevertheless, AI is a buzzword, also misused in many situations where it maybe would be, and it has a lot of subcategories which would fall under machine learning or deep learning. Yeah. I think at the moment we're still in the area of self-driving cars and having Siri and content recommendation, what you said when watching Netflix or Spotify. But slowly we are also now seeing that in the retail industry, photo recognition is getting deployed. So I think there's several online shops already where you can take a picture from a shirt or from whatever you have at home, and it gives you recommendations with it. So yeah, there's the next years are going to be very, very interesting, and that a big change to what we have seen so far.
And do you see AI already around in terms of predictive analysis of data, of giving some recommendations to hoteliers in terms of how to best leverage their channels or best steer the bookings in the future?
Yeah, I mean, what we have seen now also because of COVID is that especially all revenue management software companies had to also look at their algorithms and change things in their algorithms. So we have a lot of more future-looking data points and live data points, market data now as a trend, which is going to be connected to use that kind of input and work with it. Yeah, what we internally also looking at is how to integrate the booking engine with personalized pricing. So we all know that with an IP address, a user is getting recognized in the moment you enter a web page. For example, also geo-pricing was used by airlines for many years already. That I don't know if somebody of you has experienced this maybe, but I have actually booked flights between Spain and Germany, and if you went over the Italian webpage from Welling, you were having a different price than using it as a German customer or as a Spanish customer. So this goes now in the direction of personalized pricing, where you can definitely also connect your pricing recommendations with the segmentation and recognizing the user or the traveler or the guest in the moment when entering your webpage.
Absolutely agree to your point, and I can add something. You can try it using an Android device and an Apple device. You will have some separate prices on each devices from these airlines, as they are very aware of who you are and what you are browsing with. Absolutely agree. Thank you, Sandro. André, from our hotelier's perspective, from a very hotelier's perspective, could AI be of help for us in terms of loyalty programs? Is it something you can think of?
Good question, because we don't have a loyalty program in our hotel. We also don't have a revenue manager, and we are not doing any yielding in our hotel. So, it's working out quite well. Yeah, I mean, of course, I know that we are losing business, let's say in corporate business, for instance, because exactly that, we do not have any loyalty program. You cannot collect points. You cannot collect this and this and this to redeem this then for a free night stay or something like this. However, I strongly believe that we are in the people business, and our people are trying their very best every day to make the lives of our guests better on a daily basis. So I think we need to have a lot of technology for our guests. A couple of years ago, when you ask a guest what is most important for you during a hotel stay, they would say a comfortable bed. Now they would tell you it's the speed of the internet. So you have to have both, but the personal interactions, I think that they are extremely important. Yeah, data, to collect data is important, to know when is the birthday of your guest, when is the wedding anniversary, or I don't know, when a guest is, this is what I told our sales team the other day. When you have a phone conversation with a client and they tell you on the weekend, my daughter is having, I don't know, a tennis tournament, you have to call them on Monday and ask, how was the tournament of your daughter? This is, the extra mile. And this is something, sorry, that I believe AI cannot do. We can do. So, yeah. It was not the answer to your question. However, this is my opinion on that.
It's absolutely a good answer to the question. I would like to pass over to Pablo and Sandro, one of you who would like to pick this up. Is AI able of being capable of some of the things André just mentioned? Pablo, please.
It's funny because I have a quite similar approach to André about AI, and I completely agree that it is the present and it will be the future. But AI is, again, something that will benefit the biggest business, because AI is based on consumption of data and power, machine power. So that costs a lot of money. So AI will be a competitive advantage for those who have more, deeper pockets, and those are big guys. So if you are an independent hotel or let's say Wyndham, which is a huge company but nothing to do with Booking.com, for instance, in the end, you need to compete in something that Booking doesn't have, and you do, which is your rooms, your service, and your owner strategy. And that is maybe giving a phone call to see how your daughter did in the tennis tournament, or just closing inventory in Booking.com, something that no AI machine or engine can prevent you from doing, right? So I think the AI, which is anticipation, which is innovation, which is speed, this is something that will benefit the big OTAs. If you are to compete with the OTAs, you have to do it with the strategy and service, and that is very far from AI. But at the same time, it is a winning tool. So OTAs cannot do any AI in the world to compete with that strategy. So I think it's bad news. AI is bad news for hotels because they will have less capacity than big OTAs. But at the same time, it's good news because they have something that AI can't compete with, which is at the end of the day, the room, right, and the service. That's my view.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sorry, please take it on, Sandro.
Yeah, I would like to add, like, I mean, I agree that I think there is ways of how to use it. Me personally, I'm hotelier by heart, and totally agree on the service factor. And I think you don't always need to have a loyalty program. Maybe Andrea has more kind of a guest recognition program, because that's also kind of a loyalty program, yeah, that you don't need to collect points like with Miles & More and then you spend them for something. It's also that you stay, that you're recognized, that you stay 10 times already, that, oh, Mr. Schmidt, you're here again, yeah. This is also, then you have a loyal customer, so the outcome is the same. For me, I would like to take it to, I think the personal service between human beings, the robots cannot head there. But another personal experience I had also with a hotel brand was I actually signed into their loyalty program to have a extra speed internet access. And then afterwards, I got blasted with newsletters several times in a week. Yeah. And the pictures of the newsletters were not fitted to my segment. So it was huge families with kids, and I was traveling alone with my wife, completely different age group, the content, what they were advertising. So the whole marketing campaign they did with me was counterproductive, and I signed out of this newsletter a couple of weeks later. I would have signed out days after if I wouldn't have been so interested in what else they are going to send me. And if we would have used their AI to use personalization, yeah, and here we go again to relevant suggestions and visual search that can be used in the booking engine as well, to do the same marketing campaign with the same content and the same offer, but with different pictures written in a different way, in different languages, it would have maybe reached the target in a better way. And that's where I see AI coming in. So it's happening in the back end and not in the service between the human beings.
I have a quick comment, Sascha, if I may. I completely agree. I mean, I'm not saying that hotels have to forget about AI. I'm just saying that they don't need. They shouldn't consider AI as the tool to win the distribution battle. So what I'm saying is that they have to use AI for sure in customization, personalization, many aspects. But they will always lose that battle against the OTAs because it's a money battle, and there's a usage, having access to a lot of data, and OTAs will win there. So best AI, best technology for sure, but have a good driver. This is what I'm saying. And the driver is what makes a difference. That's my point.
I agree, and I think the blending of that is a real challenge, isn't it? Because you can have all the technology in the world, but not have a right plan to use it. And I think a lot of this I find, in the experience of working in hotels and obviously at regional and global levels, is that we are surrounded by data, and that data is quite key to how we work and operate. But many a times, having a good data management strategy to extract and use it effectively, whether it's a simple tool or a more complex AI-driven tool, is really challenging. And I think if we work around, thinking it through, and how that's used, as Sandra, you mentioned the relevance aspect of it. So, it's easy to get somebody's email, or, but what do you do with it is a whole different story. And that is strategy. That's your plan. That's the relevance. How do you contextualize it? And whether you use machines to help you with that, or some kind of easy to use, cheaper technology, which will become increasingly available, or, do you do it manually? I mean, it doesn't matter, but as long as it's effective.
Great, guys. Thank you very much. So I love to have these opinions and to see that at the end we're coming back to what André was starting with. It's about personalization. It's about customization. I'm taking away from this question. We shouldn't try to compete against the OTA in terms of AI due to the fact of money. And that there is a huge money pot in behind of the OTA, which we normally don't have at a hotel level. But at the same time, I do take away that we will need to have AI in place to be able to deliver the best personalized, customized service to our guests around, to make sure we can be hosts like we would like to, like André mentioned, what's happening in his hotel. And I love in the point you just made, Vineeth, having all technology in the world is good, but not using it will make things worse. André, in the very beginning, you mentioned you're looking about block pay. So there's a payment method within your app, and naturally it comes together when we're talking about AI. We're talking about blockchain a bit, I'm thinking, and blockchain. I was needing to work it out for myself, as it's all around. Bitcoin is all around, but what is blockchain? I try to break it down very simple for our audience. Probably they are more aware than I am. A blockchain is just a growing list of records, and they are called blocks. And all those blocks are linked together using cryptography, and each block contains the cryptographic hash of the previous block, which makes it highly secure and very hard to break this blockchain up. So you will always have a very secure method of storing data, what data ever it can be. Recently, we have seen with Bitcoin a huge drop in its value, even though the technology behind it's already widely used, and it's not only in blockchain and not only in Bitcoin for this payment. I think it's used in many ways, and it's coming all around. Where, and I need to ask the two providers of technology, where do you think blockchain can make a difference to our booking systems? Is it payment? Is it booking systems? Is it security? Where do you see it?
I don't see blockchain coming in the near future for helping in the area of distribution in short term, but decentralized identity or decentralized security systems, they are definitely. So what we were mentioning already, secure payments, it's definitely a topic that to name a company, for example, B-Token, if somebody wants to look that up. Then we have ID, security, data privacy. I think they are blockchain also. We will see something in the near future. Loyalty programs, what we mentioned, could be maybe a way of having hospitality companies working together, to individual companies who are not part of the same group or chain, but using this to work together in loyalty programs. And then another important factor is what you mentioned with the introduction, Sascha, is the storing, the storage, using blockchain for storing data and giving access to it. So they are Winding Tree is a Nordic company, for example, for exactly that, booking and baggage tracking, but with blockchain technology. And big airlines, big hotel companies are early investors in this field, and I think we will see some interesting things coming up there. But when it comes to distribution, it will take a little bit longer, or I've made out.
I think the biggest challenge, from what I've seen, I'm no expert in this, but but I did invest in Bitcoin just to see what it would be like, it is a level of fluctuation, right? So although it's currency, I mean, I know we're not talking specific to Bitcoin, but blockchain in general, but when you come to cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, the volatility makes it almost a non-currency. So it almost becomes like something to own, which is like a token which has value, but it's not easily tradable because of the value fluctuation. So in itself, it becomes a paradoxical product. So that's what I've seen as my observation on this.
I have blockchain, and I completely agree with Sandro that the blockchain is not going to be disruptive for many companies. I don't see Booking.com or Expedia or Jet2Holiday using blockchain for their own system, because they control everything. They have the entire information. What I see blockchain is when you need to cooperate with someone else, when you need to share some information with other companies or government entities, right? That makes a lot of sense, because the blockchain sets the framework, the how to do it in a safe way, right? And I see, for instance, loyalty, as Sandro said, independent hotels joining together in a platform to share information, to have access to that data to make better decisions. Because if you're in independent hotels, you have your own data, but what you lack is the data of others. And maybe if the independent hotels join in a platform to have that data, maybe they can make better decisions. For Wyndham or for Hilton or Marriott, the big guys, maybe it doesn't make much sense because they already have that information. So blockchain is not that useful for them. But if you're small, or for instance, for insurance companies that they want to share information of their bad customers, that makes a lot of sense. It sets a framework of sharing information. But at the same time, it has a Achilles heel, which is they especially now that I live in the US, and the liability behind leak or fraud or failure. So who's responsible? Because somebody has to be responsible in the end. So blockchain lacks that responsibility because it's supposed to be shared. But at the same time, sharing responsibilities in terms of liability is something that nobody likes, because somebody has to pay, right? So I think blockchain was super. It was a buzzword that was very, very powerful a few years ago, but I'm afraid it's going to be much less useful, and I would say more niche than broadly used. But for those niches, it's going to be super powerful.
And the environmental impact as well has come into play, right? With blockchain, because it uses up huge energy resources. So anybody who wants to be sustainable, if you're driving towards a sustainable planet, then it's hard to support blockchain completely in that context.
But that will change very quickly, because servers will be very, very efficient, and everything, something has to be compared how efficient is the other way of doing things. So if blockchain is, let's say, 80% efficient or less efficient, compared to what number? Because that's I've heard that argument against blockchain, against crypto coins, but at the same time we don't know how efficient is the normal way.
Fair point. On the positive side, I mean, one area that I found that was really interesting was review sites, because reviews are often contested, right, for its authenticity and originality. I came across, as I was just looking around for this session, I mean, a site called Revane. I don't know whether you heard of it, but they seem to be built on blockchain, to ensure review authenticity. So that's on the flip side.
I think it's also it's important to not mix too much then directly blockchain with cryptocurrencies, right? That it's easy to drift into this, and then, for example, the argument to say, okay, how much energy it uses. I saw the other day now a new study about the actual financial system we have right now, how much energy this is using with credit cards and so on, is much more than that. So it's always what you're picking up. And like Pablo said, this is changing fastly, like technology is moving forward. So I think, the decentralized system contract management is also something interesting where blockchain could come in. Wherever we all know in all countries, in all kind of areas and industries, we know there's sometimes this specific company and they have a monopoly situation just because of historic reasons. Doesn't matter if you're sending a post or this or that, like there is one company, private owned or governmental owned, and they make a lot of money because they are in the middle. And that's something that sometimes it's a little bit unfair, yeah, that the two parties which are on both sides have to pay something. So in our industry, in hospitality industry, it happens also a lot with currency exchange. Yeah, like if I want to travel somewhere and I'm earning in euro, and then I travel in Africa and I have to exchange in US dollars and then in local currencies, I'm losing so much money on the way. Would be great if I can just pay the property I paid in my local currency and they receive money in their local currency without paying all these intermediaries.
Thank you very much for your thoughts. André, we've been talking in the forefront a bit, or exchanging emails and thinking about blockchain, and I never heard of BlockPay before. So I'm very much looking forward to BlockPay, which is a real payment method, quite easy within your chain. When we were talking about the situation of payments and what is in with the hotels, and this comes exactly to the point, Sandro, you just mentioned, it must be as easy as possible. And I know from a friend of mine living in Sweden that in Sweden you normally pay with Klarna, you pay with your mobile device, you pay with a sum up device. Even the homeless are asking you for some help and having the sum up device with you, and you can pay with your card, and you don't have to have any money at hand. So it is a constantly changing environment. And I think in Central Europe, in Germany, André, and you mentioned cash is still around. It is something that will change constantly, but very slowly. But do you see a trend in there? Are people eager to pay online? Are people eager to use credit cards more, even within the pandemic, not to touch anything?
Well, what I can see is also that this is depending on the age. Elderly people pay cash, and the younger generations, say, yeah, I pay with my iPhone, I have Apple Pay, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, you need to be able to provide service for all guests. You need to be prepared for everything. And what Sandro also just mentioned, I like that thought very much in terms of currency, to make it as simple as possible, as customer friendly as possible. I remember the day when I was a receptionist back in Munich, and you changed money for an American Express traveler's check, and there was a commission on each check, I don't know, of like 13, 14, 15 euro. And the people were looking at you and say, what is this? This is a complete ripoff. So yeah, it has to be easy, and you need to be able to, make it everything possible for the customers in this regard.
Absolutely. So it's time for me to wrap up. We're nearly an hour within our call, and it was my pleasure to have you around. It was great insights from your side, having André at one of the most famous, or I would say the most famous hotel in Hamburg and Germany. Well, we need to elaborate a little bit more when I'll be able to come around. We will do, for sure. It was my pleasure to have you. It was my pleasure to talk about AI. And what I'm taking with me again is that we do see an aggregation, or will see, Pablo, an aggregation of businesses coming out of this pandemic due to a cause of liquidity. I take away that we shouldn't compete from a hotelier's perspective on AI with the big OTAs, as there is so much money behind. We should work on the niche we are in, and we should deliver the best service and use AI wisely and in the right fields. We can really take advantage out of it. In terms of blockchain and having this technology around, it's more a decentralized security, a secured payment, probably, but for loyalty programs, storing data and giving access to data could be of interest, but it's more, or it was more like a buzzword a few years ago. And Bitcoin, we don't expect to be one of a regular payment method due to the volatility Vineeth raised. I thank you all very much. And to our audience, I would like to invite you to connect with us on LinkedIn, on all the social media channels you like to, and elaborate a bit further. It was my pleasure to spend the afternoon with you. Thank you very much for being around. So we quit the show for today, and I'm happy to connect on all social media channels and see you again probably next week, Tuesday, when there is the next HSMAI live show. Always Tuesdays between 2 and 3 p.m. Central European Summer Time. Thank you very much. and have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.